Hello and welcome to PM Express, and it's still brewing. It's still brewing. What is it? Well, it's the NIA issues with the Ghana card, where the minority is saying they are not happy and that they want to go to the Supreme Court, seek interpretations to change certain part of the law, so that probably we could allow that those who are already in possession of a voter ID can just swap it to having a Ghana card. And I saying no, they are going strictly by the law. You need a passport, a birth certificate, and if you don't have any of that, you can either have one relative or two people in the community to say yes, you are who you are. But it goes further. To obtain a Ghana card, they need a bit more detail: where you went to school, whether you're married, how many languages you speak, a bit more details. Considering we're a country that don't seem to have a lot of data, could this be an opportunity to even find out what it is that we are doing, what languages we speak, how much wealth we have? Should we wipe the slate clean and start afresh, or is it too much hassle? There are those who are too old and frail and can't be bothered to go through the system again. Should we start afresh with those who are now coming on and just leave those who are there? These are all the issues that are at stake. However, the argument is that, look, this thing went through Parliament, and therefore, how come it is that a certain part of Parliament is now getting up to say, no, we are not happy with it. But then the part that are not happy say, look, it came in as an emergency, you blink and you miss it. However, this is a country of laws, and laws must work. We'll take it to Supreme Court and find out what the interpretation will be. This is the discussion on the table, so that by the end of the day, you realize that, listen, should we go ahead, clean the slate and start afresh? Or we have chalked a certain milestone, so let's continue from where we ended the last time. Well, I want to say special greetings to Nanaya of DMC, who are a very, very ardent viewer of PM Express. So Nanaya Avle of DMC, thanks for tuning. Oh, she's a queer, Nana queer of DMC. Good, Nana queer of DMC. Good. And special love also to the Eastern Regional Director of Education, Madam Gertrude Mensah, always tuned in. Nice of you to tune in. My name is Nana Ansakwao, Chief of the Little Republic of Akovedumasa. And when I come back, we're going to find out, are we wiping the slate clean, or are we starting from where we ended? Don't go. Well, this is the part you've all been waiting for. With me in studio, sat right next to me, is Francis Palmdetti, who's Public Affairs Manager, Director of Public Affairs.
It's Acting Director, Corporate Affairs, National Authority, and Assistant Commissioner of Immigration.
Thank you very much. And then my own brother, Roxin Damepo, who's
Dafiamapo.
That's right. Right. Honorable Member of Parliament for
South Time. Nana today Ram will lie. Ram will lie.
You see now, production is giving me all the renaming you and giving you different positions. Yes. But it's all well and good. But I think I'll start with you, Roxanne. I think the biggest, why do you want further interpretation? It looks like it's an open and closed book.
First of all, let me use the opportunity to pay homage to my constituents and Peki Kwali Kweve Tongo, and of course our mutual friend Anekyo of DMC and all that. Our case is very simple. We are not seeking a reinterpretation of this matter. I would be wrong for anybody, including of course yourself, to say that our decision to impress upon NI or government via NI to listen to the plea of the generality of the people, that the law as it is, as amended, even though we had issues with it, but as amended, the law permits the use of the voter's ID card in the present exercise. And so they are insistent on not agreeing to that humble suggestion. It's for us, it's an affront to the rights as granted to every citizen of Ghana of 18 years and of sound mind, as crystallized in Article 42 of the Constitution, to have the right to vote. Now, what are we saying? We are saying that when the government through NI came to us in Parliament in October 2017, one late evening, they rushed in with a bill in hand and said, oh, we are in a hurry. We have done everything ready. This registration exercise must commence the next month, which was November. And therefore, we're praying you in October of 2017 to, as it were, consider this small amendment. In fact, a very small amendment. And the certificate of urgency simply means that do this in a hurry. Do it hurriedly so that we'll have time to put our house in order, so that when it is 1st November, we'll go nationwide with the registration exercise. And they give us two reasons why we should do that. The matter was quickly referred to a committee that I'm a member of, the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. And I think it was there, yes, Toe was there. We met in the evening, at night. You were not there, very well. But the team led by the Honorable Minister for Monitoring and Evaluation, the Honorable Dr. Akoto Osei, and the plethora of members from NI. Two things. That one, they are hard pressed with time. They are supposed to roll out in November. And therefore, if Parliament was to consider this, and there is normal processes of passing a bill into a law, it could take forever. So they will be handicapped, because as at the time they were speaking to us, they didn't have an ally to operationalize the law to enable them operate or work. Then two, that the decision to take out certain formal forms of identification, i.e. NHIs, the use of National Health Insurance Card, the use of the voters registration card, the use of driver's license, the use of baptismal certificates, the use of other means of identification, where the decision was in consonance with the ruling of the Supreme Court in the Abu Ramadan case. And if you recall, the Abu Ramadan case, we have Abu Ramadan 1 and number 1 and number 2. Because I know you know that when the decision was given by the Supreme Court, Abu had issues with the Electoral Commission as to the clarity of the directives given. So he was having a banter with the Electoral Commission thought that they were complying with the orders. Abu thought that they were not. So he had to go back. Apart from the May 5th decision, he had to go back for a clarity. Quick decision the Supreme Court gave in a July decision to clarify exactly the orders that they gave in the May decision. And clearly, they only said that voters' ID cards procured by using NHIS cards were supposed to be scrapped or deleted or cleaned from the voters' register. And they also gave the Electoral Commission the opportunity to re-register those who had been cleaned out using other means of identification, which was done. But somebody, either with the executive or with the NIA, is misapprehending this decision to mean that the use of a voter's ID card was irregular in matters like this. So within the few hours that they were with us that night, they impressed it upon us that that decision is in consonance with the Supreme Court decision. So you see, you may say that no, what they are doing is not right. But when they say that, when they are confronting you with the Supreme Court decision, at which time some of us didn't have the opportunity to procure a copy quickly to verify, we are minded to agree with them. Now, we are also minded to say that once they are saying that we were rolling out in November, I think they came in mid-October. This is the report. They came in mid-October. So once they said they have only 2 weeks to do this, these are state institutions. You must not unnecessarily, stampede them in their work. So we agreed. We recommended. But they assured us that these ones could be catered for in the LI. But be as it may, on the floor, I think we were so clever to include an omnibus clause, and I'll read it to you. The omnibus clause is found in Section 3 of the amended law, Section 3, subsection A1, E, which says that any other information as may be required by the authority. And we are saying that if in the absence of a passport, a birth certificate, 2 family members, or in the absence of all this, 2 family members, and 2 other community members who ought to be registered before they can guarantee for you. In the absence of all this, if I come and I prefer before the registration official a voter's ID card, this omnibus clause should be able to take care of it, because it says any other information as may be required by the authority. But the authority is telling us that no, they will not permit the use of a voter's ID card under this omnibus clause. So we are asking them, then when they say any other information as you may require, what exactly will you be requiring? They've not been able to answer that. So for these issues, we are of the opinion that then we may have to seek clarity. We may have to seek audience before the Supreme Court for clarifications, proper interpretations. But whilst we were contemplating our positions, a think tank has done that. So this morning, I had the opportunity to say, then it will be pointless for the minority to now file another application before the Supreme Court seeking this. Because in any case, when you do that, what the Supreme Court will do, or what the court will do normally, will be to consolidate the issues. But we wouldn't want to burden them with that. So we are firmly behind, we are throwing our support behind the application presently before the Supreme Court for a proper interpretation of this matter. And I will want to conclude preliminary by saying, when you look at the mandatory uses that they will put the card to, one critical one of it is the fact that before you could register for a voter's ID card, you may have to be in possession, or you will have to be in possession of the Ghana card. Now, I don't know, I don't want to anticipate or preempt what will happen. Are we going to do a wholesale registration again, or they are going to deal with all the people or persons who are turning 18 since the last registration are going to be affected by this directive? Because I am already in possession of a voter's ID card. Unless they are saying that by a government directive or policy, there will have to be a wholesale registration of persons for purposes of elections. If that happens, then they may be running into a roadblock within the context of Article 45 of the Constitution, which mandates the Electoral Commission the constitutional duties to carry out those exercises. But you see, when they want to do that, then the NIA by an amended act of parliament will be placing an impediment or a compulsory requirements in the kind of things the Electoral Commission may have to.
What does this say? Read it.
It says, Article 45, the Electoral Commission shall have the following functions. There are a lot of them. A, to compile the register of voters and revise it at such periods as may be determined by law. There are a lot of them. But I'll take you to...
Oh, it's just F. Okay, we can read it.
Yes, okay. To demarcate the electoral boundaries for both national and local government elections. To conduct and supervise all public elections and referenda. D, to educate the people in the electoral process and its purpose. E, to undertake programs for the expansion of the registration of voters. All right? And to perform such other functions as may be prescribed by law. All right? Now, if constitutionally they are mandated to undertake programs for the expansion of the registration of voters, and you are saying that by your amended law, you are asking citizens to be in possession of a Ghana card before they can register, and you think that that should supersede the constitutional function of the Electoral Commission?
Okay, let me
talk some.
Yes, you will talk some. Don't worry, you will speak some.
Francis,
You know, so these are the clear issues.
Okay, let me bring Francis in here now.
And let me wind up by reading to you, or to the hearing of the viewers, the tenor of Article 42, and it's to the effect that every citizen of Ghana of 18 years of age or above and of sound mind has the right to vote and is entitled to be registered as a voter for purposes of public elections and referenda. What NIA is seeking to do is akin to a population census. Akin. It's similar to taking a population census. By the new amendment that we effected in October, we are even supposed to register persons at birth. From age one day till infinity. 80. No, we don't.
Just 80 is in the law.
Yes. You know. Yeah, we debated it, but we realized there's nothing like 80. Once you are born, yes. But no, what I'm saying is that it came up, but we realized that there's no 80. It's day one. When you are born. No, I realized. I agree with you. I agree with you, but it's wrong for us to describe it as 80.
So that one is wrong in this law.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Why?
Okay.
You can make mistakes.
Okay.
But technically, there's nothing like 80. Once you are born,
Let me get Francis to answer some of your queries.
So I am saying that with all this new dimensions, you are taking the data of every living being, human being within the four walls of Ghana. The nationals will be issued with a different card with different tinge and coloration. The non-nationals also be issued with a different card with different tinge and all that. So it's an exercise, and that is also predicated on a lot of conditionalities: availability of energy, technical support, and all. So this exercise is already cumbersome. You cannot by non-apprehension of the law be complicating it.
Okay.
Give me 15 minutes. 15 minutes.
And it's okay.
So now we give you time to answer.
I am happy to be here, to have the opportunity. Good evening to your listeners, to also shed some light on what is happening and the law and what it says. But I want to take up a few things that my classmate just put out.
Yes, we're classmates in the faculty. You know.
Now I understand. Now I understand the banter.
It's a legal mind.
Yes. Now, he started by saying that we came to Parliament in the night, and that it was a small amendment.
Oh, I say a late evening.
Okay, a late evening.
Yes, late.
Now, to suggest to the public that because of the time we came and what we said, that's what made them not pay attention to what they did.
No.
More or less.
No.
Oh, don't worry, I'll explain. No. But you see, there's a saying that
you have to withdraw that, because I never said so.
Okay,
even within the fact that we work in the night we still scrutinize.
Okay, good.
But you give us a basis.
Okay, I withdraw.
You give us a basis.
Now, there's a saying that be trusting, but verify. We do not call them honorable for nothing. They are of a different level. And he talks of a certain committee called the Constitutional and Parliamentary Committee.
Constitutional, legal
and parliamentary. I mean, every committee of parliament is a committee of experts. And they are very thorough with the work they do. And they know what they are about. So, even if it's 2 minutes, even if it is a day, even if it's 30 minutes, the diligence they apply to their work, which I have seen, I've encountered Parliament working at sittings, etc., is thorough. It's thorough to the point that even when they leave committee and come to the floor of the House, they still make corrections on things that you may think are petty. They make corrections because every mark, every comma, every word of the law has an interpretation. And I believe that listening to, if you take the Hansard and you hear what they said, there is no way I would accept that they were not thorough with the law they passed. Now, there's a portion of the law which says any other information. And my honorable colleague wants us to understand that provision there is for us to then consider the voter's ID card, because this provision takes care of that. But this is the law. Act 950 passed by Parliament, this is it. There are two separate provisions of the law, and they are separate for a purpose. The framers of the law did not separate them just for the fun of it, because we have what we call the National Identity Register, and the law says this register must have X information. So this long list we see here,
31 indices.
this long list we see here is what Parliament tells us to capture for that National Identity Register, which has been an electronic form. Now, this is the list. In that list, it says your name, your sex, date of birth, place of birth, nationality. It goes on to say residential address, postal address, marital status, employment, birth, electronic email address, telephone number, tax identification number, and then it mentions voter identity number, date of issue, etc. It's a long list. That's the information. But when we talk about the requirements for registration, it's in a different section. Those requirements for registration are a birth certificate or a valid passport or a resident permit. A resident permit is there because the law takes care of both foreigners and nationals. And then a certificate of acquired citizenship for those who have naturalized, etc. If you do not have any of these, then you need a relative who has already registered vouch for you, or two other persons who have already registered vouch for you. Now,
So if it's relative, then what?
one, two other. If
So
no relative, two other persons.
So if I brought my wife, she's okay. Just wife is okay.
No, wife is not your relative.
Okay. So I need a wife and somebody else.
Yes.
I see.
Now, the thing about the requirements, it's not strange in law. When you take CI 91, that deals with elections. It talks about regulation. One talks about requirements for registration as a voter. It also spells out what must be brought. It says you must bring a passport, a driver's license, a national ID. I'm emphasizing national ID because the law that deals with elections is saying that the documents you bring, there must be a valid passport, a driver's license, a national ID, or an old voter ID card. If you don't have any of these, then you must have two people guarantee for you. It is not for nothing that the law is saying that when you want to register as a voter, we need to identify you. The medium through which you will be identified, one is a voter, a national ID. Now the national ID card, which is empowered from Act 750, is meant to cut across everybody. Everybody must have a particular form of ID acceptable to all persons, and it must be coming from the state. And the state has passed a law that, listen, we can't be using voter ID card as ID, national ID. We can't use driver's license because it will exclude so many people. You would have those who can't drive excluded because they don't have a license, or those who don't want to travel. So every government, and in fact that's the position of ECOWAS, that governments must try to meet SDG goals and bring everybody on board. And so national IDs are documents that bring all of us on board. So we had to amend the law and said it should start from age 0 to infinity. So everybody's included.
So the Ghana card goes beyond votes?
No, I had to deal with the issues he raised. The Ghana card is that which will identify you. So I want to register as a voter. One document you must bring to identify you is your national ID. And the voter registration law has mentioned national ID. So when the Act 950 says you must bring a national ID for voting. It's not saying, it's not speaking Portuguese. It is saying what? The same thing that the law requires.
Those who, like I have a, voter's ID
Yes.
now. So that is that null and void?
No. What it is that the information we need in the register includes institutional IDs. The reason why institutional IDs are required is because the law that created the National Identification Authority contemplated that let us have these key institutions integrate their systems with national ID so that we can have a harmonized system. As we speak, every institution is in a silo. But the intention was that let's harmonize these systems, and they are key. So if you look at Act 707, which established NIA, and you look at the board structure, you will have GRA, the head of GRA, as a member of the board. You have the head of NHI as a member of the board. You have the head of Statistical Service as a member of the board. You have the head of GIS, Ghana Immigration Service, as a member of the board. It is not for nothing. It is because the Senate, the boss of Senate, is on the board. The idea is that this will eventually help us integrate the systems. So the reason why it is here as one of the personal information you must capture is so you capture the number and the date of issue. They have it scanned. And when that time comes for the systems to integrate, it's easy because we already have.
Is this compulsory? Ghana card, is it compulsory that you must have it? Or you can decide, look, I don't want to be part of it?
There are mandatory uses for the card.
Okay.
And so if you don't have the card, you have difficulty having certain access.
Okay. So
the mandatory uses are listed in Regulation 2111. And it says 1, if you need to procure a passport. And so the law says for purposes of any transaction that requires you to identify yourself, you must present the Ghana card. And it says for these services, it is mandatory for you to present the Ghana card. So if you want to get a SIM card, you must bring that ID. If you want to obtain a passport, you must bring that ID. If you want to register as a voter, for the first time as a voter, you must bring the ID to identify who you are. If you want to conduct any business in the bank, you need a voter ID. Purchasing of land, insurance.
So in 2020, can I vote with my existing voter card?
It is not for us as an institution implementing the law to say so. Ours is to ensure that nationals have ID cards, which is meant to help them in their economic, social, and political activities. And we are also supposed to create a national identity system that creates conditions where institutions that are authorized to obtain data from us can have access to it. So one leg of it is to populate the register, make sure it is secure, and then issue ID cards. And also create systems where persons who need information can easily have access to that information. That is the makeup of the NIA. So it is not just the byproduct of giving out cards. Now, talking about the card is not just a card. I think I have mine.
It's a credit card.
Is that a credit card? So anyway, the card is not just a card. The card is compliant with the ECOWAS requirements for a card. Therefore, that card is a passport for travels within the West African sub-region. So today, I want to go to Benin. I don't have to go and queue for a passport. I have a passport in my hand, issued to me in that shape.
And it to be accepted.
It will be accepted because Senegal has the card now. We are the next to have it. But you see, the interesting thing about us having that card, when we talk about national IDs and ID cards, we are way behind. We started this effort in 1972. It wasn't piloted. It was actually being conducted in the Western region, the border towns, the Volta region, Northern region, and the Upper East region or something. NRC Decree 129, the identity card law, that was meant to give us a personal identification number for persons above 16. If you want to get a job, you must present that ID. That number must be quoted. If you are supposed to have the ID and you want a job and you don't produce the ID, you're not supposed to be given a job. That ID number must be tied into your social security. That was the thinkers at the time, 1972. We haven't succeeded. Our neighbors, Togo, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, have ID cards, and they have been very effective with it. Even immigration struggles to enforce the law, because when I see you and I want to check who you are, what do I ask you? What do you show to me to make me know whether you are a foreigner or you're a national? Do I have to hear your accent or see how you look to do that? We need an objective way of doing that. So with national IDs, we are way at the back. Fortunately, we are trying to do something. What we are trying to do is going to shoot us ahead, because it is only Senegal, of all the West African states, only Senegal that has the prescribed ID. We are also going to have the same thing. That's what we are issuing as we speak.
So if I give you the card,
yes,
quick one before I go for a break. I mean, can you tell that? Yeah, that's him. He's a chief. He works at a radio station. This. How would you tell?
It just tells the basic information about you. That's standard. When you take a passport, there are standard fields.
So I mean, with all the information that you gather,
all this will not show on the card. The only thing that will show on the card is your name, your surname, your four names. If you had a previous name, that will be on the card. Your height, your date of birth, your what do you call it? The date of issue, your nationality, the personal identification number is quoted, and the expiry date, and maybe some other information. Your picture, your portrait, the ghost picture, and then the chip, and then the ECOWAS logo, the Ghana logo, and then it's a machine readable. And now the card is a machine readable card. It means it can be read by any ICAO machine reader globally. If you go to the States and they say, can I have your ID? And they swipe it, they know, oh, Nana Sakwa from Ghana. Okay, go ahead. It is compliant with ICAO standards. The chip on this is a 148K chip. We have a slot for the remaining capacity is 128, and we have 14 applets on it. 14 applets for viewers is like a big apartment with 14 rooms. So I decide to rent one room out to you, and you give me a token for that room, and I can do that for all 14 as we speak. It is NHIS intention to use one of the applets so that they stop producing cards, and then they pay a token for using the applet. That saves them and the government a huge cost that goes into card production. The same with SNET. SNET intends doing same. That will take an applet and stop producing cards. So
up to 14 different institutions
can use it. So if in the future, as I was in a meeting today, and at that meeting I got to know that we have 6 organizations that have silos, data silos from Oracle, and those silos are big enough to take care of all 6. But all 6 have separate silos, and it costs us $1.5 million for license fee a year. With national ID with 14 applets, if other organizations are thinking, or government institutions are thinking of getting a silo, I'm sure they'll be told, please, we can't be affording these silos. Just jump on this.
Let me take a quick break and come back.
The issue about it being cumbersome, we take our time and fill visa forms, which last for 3 months and 6 months. We don't complain. This is a very important national assignment, and the information we need is for once. Once we get it, the only thing you will do in the future is to update it. So you move from your house, digital address has changed. So you come and update it. You were unemployed at the time. You now gain employment, you update it. The other thing is there's a portion for disability. So government of Ghana can, with the records, tell the number of people who need help, who are disabled, or those who are unemployed, those who are below a certain age. We want to do a certain program for Ghanaians. We can tell who qualifies to get it. It is a major national developmental tool that I think we should all embrace.
We're coming straight back. It's getting interesting. Well, there are certain shows that don't end. Just the break happens and then the break comes, but the show itself never ends. It just carries on. And this is one of such shows, because I have 2 classmates in the house, and but let me go straight to Roxanne. Well, I gather that the major fear of minorities is that this thing could affect people who can now get back into voting. Is there any intention of cancelling the existing voters register that we have now? Do you suspect?
Nana, first of all, it is not just the fear of the minority. It's the fear of the generality of the people.
Okay.
Our point is that about 80 million Ghanaians are on record to be
15,
on the
15.
well, about
It's a
50.
report, yeah.
Very well. But the data we have suggests that about, okay, so let's go by our data. About 50 million Ghanaians are recorded to be on the voters register as of 2016. And so by the consequential reasoning, 50 million Ghanaians are in possession of voters' ID card. Verified. Now, if you intend to undertake a national exercise of this magnitude, and it will be convenient to use a form of identity that will cover half of the population, I think any reasonable agency interested in undertaking a national exercise to its logical conclusion, that will be the first means to rely on, which is the voters register. And so for you to sidestep that, to say that I would rather rely on a birth certificate, which is also on record to be in possession by just about 7 million people, gives us a worry. And I'm going to say this. I said it yesterday, I wasn't happy, but I'll say it again. When they came to us, the reasons why they said Parliament should carry the amendment in a hurry is that there are 2 weeks to roll out. Reasonable as we are, we agreed with them. But look at the law. This is the law. The amendment that we passed for them in a hurry. It was assented to by the President on 4th December. And I'm going to read the parliamentary reports, the committee's reports to Parliament. And I'll refer you to page 4 of the report, paragraph 7.1, agency of the bill. Officials of the NIA informed the committee, that's the Committee on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, that there is the urgent need to effect the necessary changes in the law to enable the authority commence the impending nationwide registration exercise, scheduled to commence in November 2017. For that reason, they intimated the need for the urgent passage of the amending bill expeditiously to pave way for the introduction of the necessary LI to operationalize them before that date. The impending registration exercise, which is scheduled to commence in November 2017, will register all Ghanaians and foreign national residents in the country. So, if in November, if you push us in October to hurriedly amend this law for you, only for you to tardy, so the whole November you didn't do anything.
Wait.
Hold on. Because the whole November you didn't do anything, because the law that was supposed to help you operationalize your activities so that you can take off in November was assented to in December. So you hoodwink us into doing an activity in a hurry that will naturally, in the ordinary course of our business, not hurry with it. That's the point I want to make.
Let me correct the point.
No, hold on. You correct it. 2. That's not all. 2. 2. You also said that we believed you when you said that you are going to move nationwide to do this exercise. We believed you, but you have told me, and you are on record to have said that even the contract that was to allow you to carry out this exercise was executed on 18th April 2018. So that's the second major point. So the contract that was to make you work was not even ready, had not been signed as of October. But you are told Parliament that you were prepared to take off in November. So you misled Parliament on 2 major premises. You misled us into believing that you were ready in conducting this exercise when NIA, in actual fact, you were not. The third major point was that you referred us to a Supreme Court decision anchoring your decision to delete or to not to rely on the use of voters ID, driver's license, and no NHIS card on a Supreme Court decision. We are referred to the decision and realized that the Supreme Court only made declarations.
I referred to it then or now?
No, then, because it's in the report.
Okay.
And now let me refer to paragraph 7, subparagraph 3, proof of citizenship.
Show you a portion of their report.
All right,
Okay.
proof of citizenship. The committee also noted that the bill seeks to do away with the use of voters' ID cards, driver's license, and baptismal certificates as proof of citizenship. It, however, maintains the use of birth certs and passports. It further introduces residence permits and other documents evidencing acquired citizenship. Officials of the NIA informed the committee that the changes are consistent. And this is a report, so they won't, but they told us verbatim that that was what the Supreme Court said. Are consistent with the decision of the Supreme Court in Abu Ramadan versus Attorney General, delivered in May 2016.
Okay, let you respond a little bit, then I'll bring you back in.
Yeah.
So, because I have raised three. So these are the three main.
Because of timing,
three main things that they told Parliament, and we believed them and proceeded to act in the manner we
So the
did.
contract wasn't ready, and you said you had 2 weeks.
You see, and the Supreme Court decision too didn't say so.
So
Now, this is a report submitted by the committee. It's not my report. And
I haven't said so. I have told you that this is our report.
They have stated this as why we came to Parliament. If what we came to seek from Parliament was erroneous, as he's seeking to suggest, that even the basis for quoting Abu Ramadan is flawed, I know they will know better. They are legislators. They understand the text of the law. So for me, I don't think we should belabor the point about the time we came, when we came, how we came. We've gone past it. We are dealing with the law now. He says that.
So what about what you told us regarding November?
You see, he knows that when you pass an act of Parliament, you need a legislative instrument to implement the act. He knows it.
I know.
So,
but you said that
when you bring an act, you can't enforce the act without a legislative instrument. So necessarily, after you've passed the act, you must lay an airline. The airline has to be scrutinized by them. After it is done, it must be laid in Parliament for 21 sitting days. 21 sitting days, excluding Mondays and weekends. They had to wait. Ask him when the airline matured. Do you know when it matured? In March. We could not have done anything before March, because the airline captures the forms that we have to fill, which is in the provision, in this provision.
Hold on. You are not addressing. I speak of the Parent Act, the amended act, the amendments.
You see, this portion in this law,
yes,
is captured on the form.
Yes, and
so how could we?
This is the airline.
How could we use the old form?
This is the airline,
which doesn't have these, and start registering because this has been passed. It's not. It's illegal. I need this information.
Nana, then why did you tell us that you were going nationwide in November?
It is a prerequisite to have an act before you have a regulation.
So then you should have allowed us to pass this and normal procedure.
Could Parliament have known that, look, November is out of the question, because, I mean, even if we put the 21 days.
If they had told us
that
they were not ready.
No. It's not about us not being ready.
Why?
You see, the issue.
Even the point I'm making is that the law itself that we passed for you, that we amended for you in October.
I think that let us educate the public.
We are educating the people.
What the public want to find out is at the moment, everyone knows that 14 days is not enough. We need this 21 days.
I agree. But I'm saying that the law that you stampeded us to passing under certificate of
I listened to him.
You took it to the president. It was assented to in December.
I listened to him.
So, Francis, let me hear you.
I'm being heckled.
Okay.
I'm not heckling you.
Now, the issue is that we have what we call primary documents. I'm an immigration officer.
Yes.
We deal with documents. And there's something called the source documents. And there are other documents called primary documents. Before you have secondary documents. A passport is a secondary document. You need a primary document to get a passport. A voter ID is a secondary document. You need other documents to get it. Now we are dealing with the primary document. And that primary document needs material that would feed it that is of a primary nature. A birth certificate is a primary data by every standard. That's the root. That's the source. So I think that in their very good wisdom, they considered all that. I think so. That is why they restricted it to birth certificate, which is a source document, and a passport relies on the source document. And so it makes sense for me when they said, well, let's take out voter, because voter is a secondary document.
No,
you need a primary.
You referred us to a law.
Oh, no, I'm just saying that.
You referred us to
I believe that
we were going to insist that you add voters ID card. You see, because you see, electoral commission, the CI 91 that you cited, the electoral commission gave the options. You have this or that or that, but you are making the use of the Ghana card mandatory.
No. The issue is that
mandatory.
You need a primary document.
I cannot even buy land without being in possession of the
primary
Ghana card.
document. You see, there's something called breeder documents.
Of course, I know. These are legal terms.
Breeder documents are documents you obtain to get a superior document.
Yes.
Now, we need to check so many things that are wrong. We know that the birth certificate has its flaws. Passport has its flaws. But the form that you're supposed to fill requires you to answer certain key questions that would lead to the credibility of the speaker. And that information elicited from you will let us know whether indeed, because if you say foreigners have a passport, when he appears before the questions that will be put before him will reveal that he's truly not. Exactly. So you're holding it alone is not enough. But you see, let us use, it's not about me saying let us use. The law has been passed. I'm an immigration officer trying to understand what is happening. We are not in parliament hearing their debates. I'm not in their chamber hearing their debates. But I'm thinking as an immigration officer that it may be because of the use of a primary document to help us all have a very legitimate primary document that will serve other documents and other purposes. And that is the crux of the matter.
And a small rebuttal.
That is the crux of the matter. Now, the agency of passing the law in November.
I'll give you 30 seconds for that.
You see, it is, even when you are supposed to do something under a certificate of agency, it requires you to be extra careful and extra diligent, because in that process you can make mistakes. So if mistakes have been made in this process.
But you didn't have a contract, so why November?
When you have a system you want to run, the system is in place. These things have to be captured in a contract. The things that we are now addressing, because the machines must have, the machines were ready, but the machines must have the fields. The form has fields. The database.
So it has to be passed in parliament before you can.
The database.
Is it explainable that they needed a law to get the contract?
No,
because you can't get a contract to get a law.
No. Let me explain to you. If you're an IT person and you have a system and you want to change the system, you do what is called a change request. You put in a change request. Change request comes with cost. Change request is not just, oh, please change this for me. Please, it follows a procedure. So this form is significant. The form that they were using before this form was passed was the old form. It didn't have an email address. It didn't have a digital residential address. So many things have changed.
Could you have gotten the contract before the law was passed?
No.
Could you have gotten the contract before the law was passed?
Could we have gotten the contract before the law was passed? Yes, but you can't pass the contract when the parent document you need is incomplete.
It's not true.
It's incomplete.
It is not true. Now, when they came before us, that they were ready to roll out in November.
You assumed the contract was ready?
We were not even assuming. We believed that they were telling us the true reflection of the situation.
The contract
that is from a state institution. So all that is happening is all we are saying. Nana, they should show me where in this requirement you are supposed to use digital address. Now they are saying that if you go to register, you need a digital address.
Is here.
All too soon.
That's what time
address will allow us. But
they passed the law.
Hopefully we can do this again. Hopefully we can do this again. Let's see what the Supreme Court interpretation will be. And as always, We'll always be back to do this all over again. Thank you so much for
watching. The whole
watching.
process is based on